We are on our way to a wedding over 100 miles deep in the Bahamas. And on this trip, we're not just guests. We're actually responsible for shooting all of the fish for the reception dinner tomorrow night. We have over 100 miles to go, and the sooner we get there, the sooner we can get in the water, so let's get going.
To get to the Bahamas, the first step is crossing the 60-mile wide stretch of ocean known as the Straits of Florida. The Gulf Stream current rushes north through this deep channel with warm, clear water that eventually finds itself off the coast of Europe and beyond. That same water from the Caribbean also drives Florida's rainy season. Heated by the sun each morning, the water evaporates and rises high into the atmosphere. As the moisture cools, it condenses into towering clouds that can quickly grow into a powerful thunderstorm. Even on the calmest of days, these storms can form out of nowhere, turning fair weather into howling winds and heavy rain in just minutes. With our friends Julie and Lewis's wedding scheduled for tomorrow evening, the timing of this crossing mattered. We had to make the 100-mile run, clear customs, and start diving right away if we wanted to guarantee a few nice fish for the reception dinner. About halfway across the straits, a dark thunderstorm began to materialize between us and our destination. There was no way around it, and with the clock working against us, the only option we had was to go straight through it. Once we pushed past the storm, we were almost to the bank. The Straits of Florida reach thousands of feet deep, but the Bahamian bank is shallow, which doesn't allow the waves to build, making the second half of the run much easier. As soon as we reached the bank, the seas settled and we were able to pick up speed to make up for lost time. We arrived at the island and tried to clear customs as fast as possible.
We just cleared customs about 2 o'clock. We're gonna go pick up some friends on another island. They flew in and get in the water.
After picking up our friends, then making the short run out to the reef, it was time to get suited up.
So on this trip, we're diving with my dad, my wife Milan, Julie, Lewis is gonna join us tomorrow, and then our friends Juan and Kirsty. We got a pretty good team together. We just need to get on the fish.
I volunteered to drive first, so everyone else hopped in the water, eager to get a shot at the first fish of the trip.
Something I haven't mentioned before is we have absolutely no spots. It's a completely brand new area we've never hit before. We've been told this is one of the best places to dive in the Bahamas, but simply don't have the knowledge of where to go. Usually it takes a couple days for you to get dialed in. We just don't have that kind of time. We got about 20 people to feed, so I'm stressing right now.
Fortunately, it wasn't long before Julie spotted a nice hogfish feeding in the sand. Hogfish are a Bahamian staple, and they have some of the best meat out of any of the fish we can get over here. And the best part about hogfish is that they aren't very smart, so they make an easy target with a pole spear. Julie kept the fish pinned to the bottom until she could get her hands on it. We all knew that every fish was going to count if we were going to have enough for tomorrow's dinner. Soon enough, it was my turn to get in the water, and as soon as I got in, I spotted this big crack in the bottom. This type of structure is known for holding big grouper and snapper, which can go a long way when trying to feed a crowd. As I approach the bottom, I make sure that my spear is loaded and ready to shoot, just in case there's a big fish waiting for me underneath the crack. I spot a bunch of nice schoolmaster, but nothing really big enough for me to shoot. So I take my time to look deep into the cave just in case there's a big grouper lurking in the shadows. After not seeing much on this side of the ledge, I decide to go up and over to see if there's anything hanging out on the other side. And that's when I spot this nice Cubera snapper swimming straight for me. He immediately spins around, and I try to get close enough for a shot when he pulls a slick move and darts right underneath me, inches from the tip of my spear, but too close for me to get a good shot in the fish. Julie spots a nice ledge and makes a drop. She lands right on a few nice-sized mangrove snapper. These fish are great to eat, but they can be a little bit tricky to shoot with a pole spear. But as Julie lines up on the fish, she manages to get a great shot and adds one more snapper to the box. We were figuring that a fish of this size would feed 2 people, so as each fish was put on ice, we got a bit closer to our 20-person goal. But if possible, we would like to have enough fish that everyone could have a healthy serving of both grouper and snapper. On my next drop, I spot a nice dog snapper that initially gets spooked by this small reef shark. I slowly try to glide towards the fish, but this one's just a little bit too smart, stays out of range, then heads for the distant reef before I can get close enough for a shot. After traveling so far deep into the Bahamas, I was expecting the fish to be a little bit easier to hunt. But the one fish that never disappoints when it comes to easy hunting is the Nassau grouper. They taste incredible and they're easy to spear because of their territorial nature. That same trait is what nearly led to their extirpation in the United States, which is why they are illegal to take back home. In the Bahamas, however, they remain abundant and legal to harvest. And while I normally hold off on shooting them, we had such a short window to put enough food together for tomorrow's dinner, this one was not getting a free pass.
You can mark this one. It looks like there should be a big grouper here. Sorry.
Julie spots a nice school of yellowjack and makes a drop. These fish are generally underrated and they're probably one of the best eating jack out there. Julie takes her time to try to pick out the largest of the fish, and when she thinks she's got the right one, she waits for a perfect shot. And the fish goes nuts. Yellowjack are very strong, and even this medium-sized one could take your pole spear for a ride if you don't have a good grip on it. Julie fights the fish to the surface and gets it into the boat. And while I love yellowjack, the goal for the reception dinner was to have grouper and snapper. So on a long dive after not seeing much, I decide to line up on this big schoolmaster. These snapper taste very similar to mangrove snapper, which are another one of my favorites. I slowly follow the fish, waiting for a good shot in the head, and take the chance when I get it. Julie spots another Nassau grouper, but this one starts to swim into a cave as soon as it sees Julie dive on it. The Bahamas is home to some incredible reef, which gives fish a lot of underwater caves to hide in. Usually, the most effective way to hunt these caves is with a flashlight, but sometimes the ambient light is enough to make out what's in these holes. Another challenge of using a pole spear is how big it is. Getting it into these tight crevices can be a challenge. But Julie's able to put her foot up on the reef and yank the grouper out without any trouble. Around the same time, Juan made a dive on another nice hogfish and was able to secure another good eating fish for tomorrow's reception dinner. But with that, we were out of time and we had to head back. The fish we had landed was a great start, but it wasn't quite enough to feed the 20 people that were going to attend the reception dinner. But because the wedding was tomorrow, we only had a short window tomorrow morning to land the rest of the fish. The next morning, we got an early start and we made a gamble. We decided to head further from the main island to try to find bigger and more fish, but at the cost of travel time to and from this new area. We still had no spots, and the area we decided to head to could end up being worse than where we were the day before. With the wedding set for 4 p.m., we figured we needed to be back around 1 to have enough time to clean the fish and to get ready ourselves. We were cutting things close with Julie and Lewis's reception dinner on the line.
Today is the day of the wedding. Hopefully we find some more reef. Really looking for some big hogs and fly grouper. We'll see what happens.
We started off diving some shallow patch reefs in about 15 feet of water that Julie's sister Marilyn told us she used to shoot big hogfish at. I volunteered to drive first, hoping that I would get a chance to hit some deeper reefs later in the day. But fortunately, it didn't take long for Juan and my dad to start putting some nice fish in the boat.
It's a good one.
I'll take that all day long.
After about 30 minutes of driving, we switched off and it was my turn to hop in the water. I saw a nice hogfish swim into this coral head, which is kind of weird for them since you usually don't see hogs hide like that. It just stuck out to me as an odd behavior that you'd only see in an area that gets a lot of fishing pressure. Even after such a long run away from the main island, these fish had been regularly hunted. I used my flashlight to look inside the rock, and sure enough, the fish was way back up in the coral. I took my time, lined up a good shot, and was able to get the fish out of the rock in the same dive. While this was another nice fish for the night's dinner, I was surprised at how smart the fish were, even in such a remote area.
This one was so far back up in a rock.
When I got back in the water, I spot a nice black grouper cruising the edge of the coral heads we were diving. This was the fish we were looking for, and I knew if I kept following the grouper, there was a good chance that it would try to hole up, which would give me a chance to get close enough for a shot. After a long swim, the grouper dipped into this big rock, and as I carefully swam around the head, ready to shoot, I see that the grouper already left the rock and was waiting out in the sand to see if I would keep chasing it. This was a smart grouper, so I made sure to slowly follow the fish, just barely keeping it within my vision rather than chasing after it at full speed. I knew that the fish was heading to another rock that it knew it could hide in. But this time, the rock was much bigger than any of the rest that we had seen, which means the fish probably had a really good hole to hide in. After chasing the fish for such a long distance, it took me a few seconds to catch my breath before I could make a drop, but I made sure I was positioned on the one spot that looked like it had a big cave. Sometimes the groupers sit just on the outside of their cave to see if you follow them in, and you'll often get a split-second opportunity to take a shot before they go deep into the rock. But as I slowly turn the corner, ready to shoot, I don't see him. I took my time checking every crevice and hole that I could, but the grouper either had a great hole where I couldn't see it, or it quickly darted out of sight when I was looking in one of the holes. It really felt like these fish had a PhD in avoiding divers, and I was beginning to wonder if we were going to get any grouper with only a few hours left to dive. Besides the clear water and beautiful beach views, the coral reefs in the Bahamas are probably one of our favorite parts. Out here, the coral colonies are bigger than school buses, and they rise up out of the sand, standing alone in crystal clear water with wide sandy patches around them. These are perfect grounds for hunting fish. Coral reefs only cover about 1% of the ocean floor, but they support nearly a quarter of all marine life, which is why even a single coral head can be packed with fish. The Bahamian government knows that the fish populations are a key tourism driver, so they have specific regulations to protect the reefs and the fish that live there by banning spear guns, scuba spearfishing, and only allowing pole spears and Hawaiian slings. This helps keep the pressure down compared to Florida, but the shallow and beautiful reefs still see quite a bit of action, and the fish learn quick. I've found that some of the best places to hunt aren't the big coral reefs that everybody knows, but the overlooked spots, the little cracks in the bottom or deep ledges that you can't see from the surface. We decide to spend the last couple of hours we have to dive trying to find one of these hidden areas that may have some fish that are a bit easier to shoot. After a bit of looking around, we think we've found what we're looking for, and we hop in to check it out. And as soon as the bubbles clear, I see that we're on the exact type of bottom that we were looking for. And as luck would have it, a big black grouper is almost right where we hopped in. Just like the last one, the plan is to follow the fish from a distance and hope that it rocks up. But on a spot like this, there's no major structure for the fish to hide in, meaning that if it holes up, we have a good chance of getting a shot in it. Julie and I look at each other to try to see who's gonna take the shot at the fish, and she points to me, letting me know that it's up to me to land the first shot. We keep following the fish from a distance until this other rock comes into view, and we watch as the fish casually slides into it. We were gonna get a good chance at this fish, so I took my time to breathe up and position myself for the dive. When I felt ready, I took one last deep breath and made my drop. It was only about 30 feet deep here, but there was a bit of a current that made staying over the spot a bit difficult. But as I get ready to roll the edge, I ready my flashlight and my spear and slowly try to sweep the ledge. And then I spot the grouper way back in the cave, so I slide as close as I can and take a shot. And for a second, nothing happens until the grouper decides to rocket out of the cave and head for the surface of all places. But what I quickly began to realize is that this fish had snapped my pole spear clean in half, and I only had the fish by the front end of my spear. Julie quickly realized what was happening and tried to line up a second shot on the fish that was doing its best to keep me underwater.
I don't know, it snapped it clean in half.
I'm glad I told you to shoot it.
I told you there's freaking big ones out here.
How?
And nice and easy, there's nothing for them to rock up in. Alright guys, well I just landed a really nice black grouper, probably one of my personal bests. This one's at just under 40 pounds, gutted, really nice black grouper. It's gonna eat great and cannot wait to eat this fish tonight at the wedding. So relieved to finally have landed a fish that's gonna absolutely cover what we're gonna have tonight, and we love black grouper, so we're super excited. It did break my pole spear in half, but that's just the way it goes. When you come over here to the Bahamas and you're chasing big fish and you're just using primitive gear, you're gonna run into gear failures. These big fish are gonna, torture test whatever you're using. So it's not the first pole spear I've broken, and it won't be the last. Finally feeling good about having enough food for tonight. With the fish we were looking for finally secured, we made the run back to get ready for the wedding. Spearfishing for fun is great because you get to enjoy being in the water whether you land a fish or not. But once there's added pressure to bring home a certain amount or a certain type of fish, everything gets more difficult. Landing this grouper was such a relief, and for the first time I felt like I could finally relax. But that break didn't last long because once we hit the dock, it was time for me to switch roles to pick up the camera as a photographer for the wedding. We're heading to the wedding. I'm also the photographer, so I don't know how much of this I can film, but there will be a wedding, and I will photograph it. After dealing with the logistics of getting everyone to the beach where the ceremony was, we finally made it, and we offloaded a few people, then anchored the boat. The ceremony was beautiful on a pristine sandbar surrounded by turquoise water, and everything worked out perfectly. With the ceremony behind us, we all enjoyed the short run back and the sunset views while we headed to the reception dinner. Alright guys, well that was an absolutely beautiful wedding, and we're going back to the reception dinner to eat up some of that fish we shot. Let's see what these Bahamians can come up with. We were all super excited to finally sit back and enjoy the fresh fish we had worked so hard for. Dinner started off with Bahamian staples like conch fritters and conch salad, and it wasn't long before we were ready for the main course. The Bahamians had prepared a mix of grouper and snapper, some fried, baked, and some blackened, and with a few different sides as well.
Everything tasted great, and we couldn't have been happier to have been a part of this wedding and such a special trip to the Bahamas. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.